welcome back to Rust Order Garage. It has been, I don't know how long, a few days at least, right? At least maybe a week or so. As you can see behind me, the Hudson is now blue. Yeah, blue. Painted it last week, which was really, yeah, I guess it was last week. Painted it outside. If you saw my little short I did, a quick picture of it outside. Not my best work, I must say. It's hard painting outside. I got trash in the paint, no doubt. And there's some orange peel in it as well. But, hey, what it is, you know? The roof had a lot of trash in it, so I actually wet sanded that down, and I'll have to buff that out. I think I get my compound in tomorrow because I'm out. And I was going to wet sand the rest of the car, and I was like, no, this is just a fun car to drive around. It is a car you can drive anywhere, anytime. I mean, that's the goal. It's a nice, reliable car. And you can see I wet sanded the roof some there. I got to polish that out. But it's not worth taking the time to, like, do paint correction and make this thing perfect. It's just a fun car for parades and having a good time. So my buddy was over today who does pinstriping and lettering and such. And he's going to get back to me on lettering the car and getting all that done. I got to see how much that's going to cost before I lose my my wallet and my savings and see what that's going to do. But until then, I'm just kind of doing some reassembly work. So I just started on the back, threw the back bumper back on, threw the latch back on. And next thing I'm going to do is taillights. And neat thing you can do is, if you're doing this kind of work, you don't want to just you know, jam your moldings and stuff onto the car. You can get thin rubber sheet like this, which is probably an 1/8 inch thick, that I've had forever laying around, used for different things, and make gaskets. So it just keeps your paint from getting torn up. So what I'll do is I'll lay a piece of the rubber against this light, trace it out, cut it out, and make a gasket. Actually, I'll make 2 of them, and we'll get the taillights installed. And of course, because the garage is still a wreck and will be until I get this car done and actually pause and tear this place inside out and make it the way it's supposed to be. Until then, any flat spot is a working area. So the trunk will do the job. And I'm just gonna trace this light. There we go. And this stuff is only 1/8 inch thick. You can cut it out with the scissors. It's not bad at all. And these Hudson taillights are really cool. So much, I like them so much that I put them on the back of my 51 Ford F1 and have bought multiple sets to have around for other trucks to put on, because you can, it's not easy to cut this stuff, but you can shave this down and make it fit the back of the fenders on the old pickups. It just looks really good. This is a set I bought, I don't even know how long ago, still has some packing tape on it. But they're not crazy expensive, and they're just a really neat looking light. So if you want something cool to put on the back of your old pickup truck and get rid of the little round things or something, these are pretty cool. I'll show you what they look like on my F1 if I get a minute. Didn't even know if I was going to do any videos for this stuff. I get into a work mode and I just don't stop. And then I remembered, hey, I should probably continue with the nice shoe. Continue with the videos. I think I have to pretty much give up on the keeping track of the days. Once the car got to the point of running and driving and to the point of needing paint, I think now it's all just finishing up the project. The main part of it was fun, counting the days to get it going. But reality is, at that point, if you were building a hot rod, you could say the car was done. I mean, you throw some gauges in and you're done with it. This is just continuing on because I had to change the color. And then I'll get back to the dash and do that kind of stuff. I'm going to trim this a little bit more. Try to get it as close as I can. I want it to just not so much stick too far out past the chrome, but just be there. But if you want, we'll go over the costs on this car, because cash out of pocket, if you don't count the paint, and I bought about $500 worth of Hudson specific things for this car that weren't needed, but I wanted them, like Hornet emblems, and these taillights didn't come with the car, these are different, and that kind of stuff. I only have maybe $5,000 in this car total, including the cost of the car. And the car, when I bought it, was $3,500. So how can that be possible? $1,500, and we have done what to the car? Just a quick rundown off the top of my head. What have we done? Original engine and transmission changed to the Escalade 5.3. Original rear axle swapped to the S10. Whole front suspension torn out, replaced with Jaguar. All new fuel system, all new braking system. Brakes moved from underfloor master to firewall. Custom exhaust system, completely rewired the car. Obviously wiring for the LS and the overdrive transmission. Different wheels and tires. I won't count the paint because that's not part of that deal. Changed the steering column and did all the steering on it. Did all the cooling system on it. We've done a lot of custom work. Modified the drive shaft. A lot of things. For only $1,500, is that even possible? Well, it is if you see the numbers. And I don't BS about numbers. I kept track of every single thing on this car, including consumables. I mean, if the money went out for this car, it got put on the list, and it's all there. So yeah, so I'll have to print that sheet out, and if you're interested, say so in the comments. If you want to see how this works, how you can do this yourself, I'll go over every item line by line, because people don't believe it. I mean, I put up on a picture of the engine and transmission in this car, and I have in the LS Swap, that's cost of the engine, transmission, putting it in the car and making it run. I don't think I have more than $350 in it, and that's including the cost of the engine, cost of the transmission, cost of the wiring harness, cost of everything to make that thing start and run. It's not counting the cost of the fuel system, which still wasn't much, and cost of building the car, but just to put an LS and overdrive trans in this thing, yeah, I mean, you can do it cheap. You got to be able to fabricate, make your own engine mounts, transmission mounts, that kind of stuff, but I still counted the cost of the steel in doing that stuff. So if you're interested, I'll go over this build line by line. But for now, I got to finish this. Oh, and the one thing also with that, when you say, okay, you built that car so cheap, how can that be? Well, I also kept track of how many hours I have in this car. And I don't remember the final number, or at least where I'm at now, but there's probably 250 hours in this car. So it's not just the cash out of your pocket, it's 250 hours. And depending on how much you work for, or how much your time is worth per hour, that gets added on top of what the car cost you, but not really. You know, I mean, if somebody said, hey, how much money do you have to own to sell me that car? Well, then you got to figure out how much time you have in it. But generally, I don't sell my cars, so something's got to be a really, really crazy offer or something I really want, maybe it's a trade, as partial trade, to do that. Because generally, I don't sell my stuff because I have too much fun with it. All right, now I'll get back to this. All right, I got my, my gasket made. Oh. Drop the nut to mount it. Put it back on. Sure I will. Things always go wacky when you're making a video. If I was just doing this without the camera rolling, never an issue. Or at least it seems that way. Alright, so we got a nice gasket there. This there. Get the gasket centered up. Looks pretty good. That's it. Bolt it in and move to the next one. All right, back of the car is done until I can get a Hornet emblem for the trunk. And I was going to start doing the front, and I ran into a problem today. Since the car was done and I was moving it around, my brake pedal felt really hard, and I actually figured out that I had no back brakes. I don't know how it happened, but yeah, I had no back brakes, and basically there was no fluid going to the rears, and I had already bled the back brakes when I initially put the system together, and nothing. So I just spent like 4 hours going through this, took the master cylinder off, cleaned that all out, drained all the fluid out, took the proportioning valve out, tore that apart, cleaned it all up, and that is where the problem was. There's a shuttle inside there, and I knew about it. I've been doing this for a long time. And hey, look, a rag still in there. Get that out of there. And yeah, there's a shuttle inside this proportioning valve, and when it moves over, it lifts this switch, puts that to ground, so you can have a brake warning light if you want. And I've read about people having problems with these things of bleeding brakes, and you know, that shuttle slides over, and when it slides, it also shuts off fluid, usually to the rears. And I never had that happen. I've bled brakes on many cars and installed many of those valves and never had that problem. But I had that problem today. And it was a pain, holy smokes, to get that thing to stay straight. Now, they make a tool. You can take that switch out. Fluid doesn't come out of there because it's O-ringed off, but you can take that switch out, and there's a tool you would thread in there to keep that shuttle from moving when you're bleeding the brakes. And I'm going to get one because it was a major pain. I actually put a test light on that switch, and after I cleaned the whole system out and started over and started bleeding it, that shuttle, I could tell, was moving around because it was lighting it off. I had a test light set up like a brake light, and that light would flicker and go off and go on, and at least I knew the shuttle was free and wasn't getting stuck anymore, because it was stuck in one direction. And once I got that freed up, then I was able to bleed the brakes, and now I have four-wheel brakes again, which is a good thing. But it's getting toward the end of the day, so I got to get some hardware, and I'm going to put my grill back in and my front bumper, and start putting the front of the car back together. And I just got my stuff today to buff the roof. I still got to buff the roof and get that done. But overall, it's not a show car. It looks like a show car on the camera, but that's why you do not buy cars from pictures alone. No way. No way. So I'm going to end this video here, and when I come back, I'll probably have the front end back together. I don't know if people really want to see me putting bolts and nuts together on this thing, but I got to get this assembled. Most of the videos for the future that I'm going to do are going to be for the interior, because I want to make a really cool interior for this car. Low buck. And the dash has to come out for some mods and some paint. Same with the steering columns, got to get painted, and a different steering wheel. And yeah, have some fun with that. So thanks for watching. It is now September 1st. So I guess I say I'm right on schedule for this build. And so far so good. So again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one.